Hi everyone, it's Tyler. Welcome back to my channel, Tyler Keeps Talking. I'm gonna keep talking today about the Thai BL series step by step. We're now on episode 11, so after this, just one more episode left. And I feel like a lot of stuff happened in this episode, so let's get right into it. So we start off in a corporate meeting with Mr. Jang, his dad, and a bunch of other executives, I guess investors, and they're basically discussing the fact that this video of Mr. Jang and Pat has gone viral, and it is apparently making their company look bad. Stocks have dropped. And so Mr. Jang is like fighting for his life basically because it's a room full of straight men and one woman, of course. That woman, the only person in that room who dared to say, "You guys are being ridiculous." There's no issue here. The issue only is with maybe the CEO's son is gay, that's it. And in this modern society, people don't care about it that much, it's gonna blow over. And another guy actually makes a very valid point that they're open-minded, but it doesn't mean that they can accept it. I think this wording, at least from the translation that I saw, actually is quite true, you know. The people who are open-minded, there will be people who are okay with people being gay, people being transgender, whatever, but it does not mean they accept it. It doesn't mean they will want their children to be LGBT. It does not mean that they're okay with them existing in certain spaces, as we're seeing right now in the US. I actually, even though he was like on the opposing side, I actually think that him bringing up that point was quite nice actually. But ultimately, Mr. Jang apologizes for causing trouble, and his dad says, you know, we're not gonna punish you, but you have to clean up your own mess, basically. And so what we see after, when everybody else leaves, the father and son chat, I guess, is that Mr. Jang has to prove his worth through the sales, basically, by making sure that they make up for, I guess, this loss. Otherwise, the digital marketing department gets shut down. If they cannot meet the goal, they're over. So Mr. Jang accepts this deal. Seems like things are kind of getting sorted out. We see that he calls Pat and actually shows up at his house to discuss, like, why did you send in your resignation letter without telling me? I wish you would not have made this one-sided decision. But they're still keeping a distance. Mr. Jang doesn't even come into Pat's house. They are talking through the gate. Basically, Mr. Jang is like, we'll take responsibility for it. It has nothing to do with you. You shouldn't be in this situation. And then, something very important happens. Mr. Jang makes Pat promise that he will never leave him. And they say, I love you. It's a bit crazy for me. I think it has not been that long since they started dating. But also, we'll get to this point again at the end of the episode. So at the office, Mr. Jang calls a meeting with, I don't think it's the whole department, but the team, I guess, that is involved with Pat. He informs them all about the situation. Yes, they are dating. We have to prove ourselves that we are useful and we are worthy of staying, because basically whatever the 1 year goal was, we now have to make that in 1 quarter. So we need to come up with something quick, basically. So they're in this meeting room, like in a frenzy, trying to come up with some kind of plan on how they're going to make this goal. And then we get a notification that photos of Put and Pat when they were still together have been leaked online. So now not only is Pat in this scandal with Mr. Jang, but now it's affected Put. And Put is the face of their brand right now, so it's just a huge mess, a disaster. And so because of this, their marketing budget gets cut, right? Because they already have this one scandal, here's another one with the face of the brand, so seems like the higher ups have basically completely lost hope. Then Pat comes up with the idea to use like an influencer marketing strategy, social media based strategy, and they decide to go with it. We then see that during some kind of press conference, Chris, who is Put's CP, his manager slash mom, is like straight up talking shit about Mr. Jang and Pat to the reporters, saying that yeah, he was very mean to me, all because of that kid Pat. I'm not surprised that they're dating, whatever. And Put sees this, finds out about everything. And obviously his brand is being tarnished as well from the dating news with Pat. And he goes directly to Gen Group office and threatens Mr. Jang, basically being like, how come you couldn't take care of Pat? I'm gonna kick your ass. And Mr. Jang is like, okay, punch me if it's gonna make you feel better. But luckily, Pat comes into the room, diffuses the situation, he talks to Put. Put is basically like, I don't really care, to be honest. I was thinking of leaving this life anyways. But Pat is like, you can't be that selfish. It's not only you involved in these things, it's brands, it's your partner, it's a lot of people, so don't be so rash in your decision making. But that being said, I don't want to deal with you anymore. I want you to get out of my life forever. Then we get a huge gag that Jang's assistant with the bowl cut, To, is the one who not only films that video of Pat and Mr. Jang, but also is the one who has been spying on him and has leaked the footage the whole time. And the even bigger gag is that he was told to do this by Jang's own uncle. Your own family trying to set you up for disaster like that. You were willing to put your entire family's company on the line that is the livelihood of not only you, but I guess hundreds of other employees, just because you don't like that your nephew is gay. Go to hell. But basically what happened was his uncle kind of gaslit the assistant To into being like, you're not gonna get anywhere in this company unless you do this kind of work. I can guarantee that you can move up if you do this for me, whatever. But To is like, I never expected it to get this big. I guess he just kind of thought it would be like an office gossip kind of situation, but it turned out to be like an everybody, whole country gossip situation. So he felt bad about it and he told everyone, and he said that he's going to resign because he feels bad about it. But Jang, being the nice guy that he is, says, don't resign, it's not your fault, you were manipulated. I know that my uncle is like this. And then we get this conversation between Jab and Pat, which brings up more lore about Mr. Jang, which is basically that like Mr. Jang has always been the perfect one. He did all of the duties that the typical son would do in terms of just basically being exactly what his parents wanted, except for the fact that he's gay. And Jab says like, I'm really thankful to him because he took a lot of the pressure off of me, but this has been hard on him, whatever. I like this kind of acknowledgement about how, you know, maybe for Jab it was not that hard to come out. If he is out, we don't really get that confirmation, but it seems kind of like his parents never had that much expectation for him in the first place. He was not the one that was like, basically he was like a fuck up, I guess, is what it seems like from the beginning, whereas they put all their faith in Mr. Jang, and so him being gay, I guess, was a much bigger letdown for him than Jab. It's just another level of like the societal issues that this series is addressing. And then Pat kind of notices about how Jab is still in love with Jane and why don't you go after him. He calls, he finds that the number has been disconnected or blocked him or whatever. So he decides that he's gonna go back to Jane's hometown to find him and I guess confess his love for him, ride off into the sunset, whatever. And before he leaves, Jab tells Pat to make sure he tells his brother, Mr. Jang, that he will not be home tonight because he's going to find Jane. So when Pat goes back to Mr. Jang, they have a talk about this, how Jab and Jane are trying to get back together, and Mr. Jang says, bitch, they're both zeros. I'm not sure if they have this kind of saying in Thai, but for Chinese, the words for bottom and top are 1 and 0. So he's saying that both of them are 0. That's how I interpret it at least. And so Pat is like, so you're saying they never had a chance to begin with? I thought that was cute. I thought that was funny. I hope it's the same that they have this kind of saying in Thai as well. It'll be much funnier, I think. And such like a creative use of the advertisement again, because I've talked about how good this series is at product placement. But Jang is like, no, it's not what I mean. I mean that they can both start over from nothing. New beginning, I guess. So in order to, I guess, impress Jane, Jab is looking for the peach flavor of the gummy for Lively Plus to give to Jane because that's the flavor that he likes. But he realizes, oh my god, the peach flavor is so hard to find. He's like ripping open so many boxes in the middle of the store. And this gives Pat the idea, like, oh my god, why don't we use this as our marketing campaign? Like, we follow the story of these people trying to find their love again, using this peach flavor from our brand that we're trying to market. So it is a good idea and they decide to run with it. But they need a writer, and we find out that Queen Ing, on top of being a meme and Pat Defender, gossip queen, she is also the biggest BL shipper in the world, and she writes fanfics. So she's like, I can totally do this, leave it to me, this is exactly in my wheelhouse, I'll do it. So she writes it. According to Chot, it is good, but when they send it out, they post it, it flops. So they're like, oh my god, what are we gonna do? They come up with the idea that Pat, luckily, somebody that is very much in love with you is a huge celebrity. So why don't you just call up, Put, and ask him to help you promote it? And Pat is like, hell no, I'm not doing that shit. I told him to walk out of my life forever. I don't want to talk to him ever again. But then he remembers that his job and his whole department is on the line, so he swallows his pride. He calls Put. They have a little bit of a negotiation, but ultimately Put agrees to help them promote it. He goes live. He addresses the picture of him and Pat, and at the end he promotes Lively Plus, which causes their post to do huge numbers, thousands, millions, and it becomes the #1 trending search in the country. And then we see that Jab finally arrives at Jane's house, but nobody's answering, so he tries to break in. Jane's mother thinks that he's a burglar, obviously, because what else would you think when somebody is trying to climb your fence? But Jab was like, no, I'm not a burglar, I'm looking for Jane. And Jane's mom was like, well, it's gonna take you a while to find him because he has moved to Japan to study for 2 years. So he missed his opportunity, I guess. We'll see if anything happens with that. I just feel like, I don't know if we'll get an update on this situation. I feel like it's not realistic for him to wait 2 years, but this is a BL series, so I'm sure that he will, and they'll be together in the end. We'll see next week, I guess. And then we fast forward 3 months. At first, I was like, why are we randomly fast forwarding 3 months? But then I remembered that because the results for the marketing campaign would be for the quarter, so we need to wait 3 months to see the results, right? Pat's dad randomly is like in his house with like this crazy style, like blonde wig and whatever, and Pat also thinks that he's a burglar. This scene was like a little bit weird to me. I don't think that this episode really needed it. I don't think it added much, because in terms of like, if you want to go the societal commentary way, then we have already discussed divorce in this series already. But what I heard from my Thai friend is that this actor was very famous in Thailand back in the day, so I guess they're just giving him an extra scene in here. But then we find out back at the office that yes, they met their sales target. Congratulations, we did it. Nobody's getting fired. The department is not getting shut down. We won. We did that. So amidst all that celebration and happiness, someone comes in to find Pat to tell him that the CEO has asked for him. So he goes into the office and 2 things happen, I guess. #1, the CEO acknowledges his skills, but he also says, well, not really, because I can't be so sure that this campaign was successful because of your skills or because of this money that was poured into it. And Jing was like, what are you talking about? We didn't use a budget. And then it turns out that Mr. Jang had put some of his own money to fund this campaign to make sure it is successful. So Pat finds this extremely hurtful. He thinks that Mr. Jang didn't trust him. How could you do this? You should have trusted me. I don't want your help. I don't want to like have my career be completely thanks to you. Which I can understand being hurt, right? I think if that happened to me too, I'll be a little bit disappointed, sad, whatever. But if you think about the weight of the situation, like the entire department that Mr. Jang has built himself, fuck Pat, leave Pat out of the equation. He most definitely would have done the exact same thing if Pat was not there, right? Like, this is a department that he started himself. And for a rich person like that, I honestly think that you would have to be stupid to not invest some of your own money into it, right? Like, this is not like some small thing. This is like, if this fails, it is the complete end of this. So of course, I think what he did is correct. I think that Pat is valid for being sad about it, but I also think that he should understand that it's not that he didn't trust you, it's that this is too big of an issue to not have some kind of insurance, to not have some kind of backup plan, right? But at least in this instance, Pat is not thinking about that. He's only feeling, I guess, the betrayal, and he ultimately decides that, Mr. Jang, let's break up. I don't want to do this. So after this, I was really hoping that it was just gonna be something that was said in the heat of the moment during the fight. But the preview for the next episode is set 2 years later. So they broke up for 2 years after that. I don't like that. I do not like that. Even if they get back together next episode, like, I'm really fearing for my life right now. I don't think this is gonna be a good ending, to be completely honest with you. This is not how I expected it to go, how I want it to go. I don't like that they ended this way. For 2 years. 2 years. Like, that's crazy to me. Over this, I don't know. So I hope that next week's trailer was like a bait and snatch. You know, I hope that it's not actually 2 years later. But I don't know, I think it will be, and I don't like that. I want them to at least talk things out before that happens, but we'll see. I actually really enjoyed this episode. For the preview, I should not have watched the preview, I guess. But up until now, this moment, I'm still considering this my favorite series of the year. We have one more to go. It could completely ruin it. Who knows? Let me know what you thought about this episode in the comments. What do you think is going to happen next episode? Do you think it was a bait and snatch? Do you think they're trying to fool us by saying that they're waiting for 2 years? Or do you, like me, kind of think that, yeah, they're actually not going to have any contact for 2 years and then get back together after 2 years? Which I don't like the idea of that, but we'll see. So remember to give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, however you feel. Remember to follow my Instagram and my TikTok, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!